Buddhist understanding of mind is there is a very subtle consciousness that is clear and knowing. This consciousness is a continuum. It takes impressions in it, and those impressions flower. That is karma. They grow exponentially. The problem is we, for countless lifetimes, have taken on impure, ignorance-based impressions in our mind. We have to radically transform our minds by using wisdom, this wisdom of emptiness. How do we do that? We have to learn how to meditate. How do we do that? We have to study from a good teacher and do it every day, 2 hours a day minimum. Maybe start out in half an hour. I see around here, I meditated for a while at the Zen Desert Sauna, and they have a nice, you do a little 25 minutes, and then you go have some tea, but some people come back for the next 25 and the next 25, and some people are like, well, maybe we need to go home, we don't want to get enlightened today, and I'm like, boy, you guys are lightweights, there are retreats where they do extended, very serious retreats. But I mean, if you think that countless lifetimes of ignorance and bad deeds and mental afflictions are going to be cured by 25 minutes a day, you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's about as much attention and concentration that it would be to become a world-class, Geshe used to say, a world-class concert pianist, or the best at whatever you want to do with your life. You have to put some serious time in it. The original Buddhists of Tibet were called Kadampas. And Kadampas originally started out doing 10 minutes of break. 10 minutes of break. And to slowly build up their endurance of doing longer sits. So, why do we got to do that meditation? Well, to have a direct perception of emptiness, you need hine, or shamatha, what they call it. It's a very powerful kind of concentration. It's like a laser-like, microscope-like ability to see objects clearly and with stability, to hold on to them stably and to see through them clearly. To get that kind of concentration, you would have had to have built up from what they call samadhi in Sanskrit, or tingenzin. Tingenzin is kind of like, I always say this, when you go to a good movie or you're reading a good book and you're in a part where you're really enraptured or you're really into it, and somebody walks into a room screaming at you to take out the garbage or whatever, and you're so into it that you didn't even hear what they said. That's that kind of meditation. That's the basis for, is everything okay over there? Okay. So now to get that kind of concentration, you need peace of mind. And if you've lived a life where you've screwed people over or you've done a lot of non-virtue, you ain't going to get that. I say that as a generalization. There are some people who have amazing mental powers and that are exceptions. But generally for most of us, myself included, you have to have a peace of mind where you've kept some kind of morality, you've kept some kind of ethics. And so that's why Buddhists take on vows. Not to do this, not to do that. The purpose is to actually make their minds peaceful so that they then can get into advanced states of meditation. What haven't we covered? So you take, there's 5 paths. There's many ways of looking at how to crack the Buddhist nut, to how to get what you want, to how to get the Buddhahood. There are many different ways to describe your destination. I mentioned before the collections of wisdom and the collections of merit. The collection of wisdom creates Buddha's mind and omniscience, mainly the cultivation of emptiness that we were just talking about. The collection of merit creates Buddha's body, the form, Rupakaya. Mo, in Tibetan, Mo Niku. It's the physical form of a Buddha. Buddhas don't have to grow old and suffer and die. Their reality is more kind of bliss than we can even comprehend in this life. They don't have this type of, they have a more, in the scriptures it's often called, it's not matter, but it has form. So the paths, the 5 paths. The first path, you have a good foundation in renunciation, which is that healthy disgust for this life. Then if you extend that renunciation towards all the beings, then you've got the bodhicitta. If you have the bodhicitta with the direct perception of emptiness, you're on what they call the first bodhisattva bhumi. These are these bodhisattva levels. What do they do? After that direct perception of emptiness, you come down out of that realization, and you get 16 realizations, which would probably be a 2-hour class in and of themselves. But they're essentially everything that the 4 truths, the first turning of the wheel, when the Buddha taught the 4 Arya truths, he was talking about his experience, having a direct perception of emptiness. Afterwards, you come down out of that. You know you have past lives. You know how many future lives you will have. And you have temporarily some clairvoyances. And I think you destroy the delusion of Tetsong. You destroy the thought that doubt about the path. You destroy that kind of the Buddhist. You know that what the Buddhist taught is the real deal. What's the purpose of this perception of emptiness? You use that direct perception of emptiness from the path of seeing, which is the 3rd path, to the path of no more learning, which is the 5th path, or Miloklam, to destroy in your life and in your meditation, within meditation sessions and post-meditation sessions, all the various mental affliction, obstacles, and their seeds. And then eventually, as you rise up through the bodhisattva bhumis, you destroy the obstacles to omniscience and their seeds. So you use this direct perception of emptiness. The fact that Vince has no inherent quality from his own side. So if Vince is being lousy that day, or if Vince is being good that day, I have an understanding in my mind, and I don't react. The point here, I can tell him to go F off. That's not the point. But in my mind, I have to understand that all the various expressions of Vince are being... I'm seeing mental labels. I'm seeing a mental label of Vince. There is no inherent Vinceness. Number 1 is if Vince had an inherent existence. To have an inherent existence means that something has to hold that essence. It won't change. Everything around us is changing constantly. Has various causes and conditions, has various parts. There is no inherent, independent, unchanging Vince. That's the way I see him in my mind. Everybody around you, you don't see their subtle impermanence, and you definitely don't see their emptiness.